Oh, let me check my audio. I don't know if it's using the right.
Hey, Matt. What's up, man?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yo, dope.
How do I sound?
You sound fine, dude.
Okay. You sound like you're in a coffee shop.
I'm not in a coffee shop. Let me close my window though. They're like people like doing work outside or something. It's so nice here. I had my windows open. So anyway, sorry about that.
Let me pop out the stage. Wait for the other window.
Everyone fooled by Babushka Boy, Shihan says. All right, let's get Sam on here. I'm gonna hopefully this doesn't destroy my. Hopefully I can stream and it'll be okay. My computer's acting a fool.
I think for the first time in like several months, Sam was actually enjoying himself and getting to make content. We're gonna rip him away to talk again. Oh.
All right, let's.
He's been meeting jailed for so long. I feel so bad for him.
He's been in meeting jail. Yeah, I know, man. I know, poor Sam. Let me ping him real quick.
I'm still kind of sick, so I look like a bum, but I'll turn my camera on.
Yeah, I mean, all good either or, dude. It's fine. It's fine either way. It's up to you. Nice hat, my guy. Thank you.
I'm gonna turn my light behind me off.
Let's see. Where's little Leonard? He's in a meeting. He'll be out in a second. Okay, cool. Let me send him this, and we'll go ahead and get started, guys, in a little bit. I think. Yo, man, dude. Face reveal. Oh my god. Oh. All right, 1 second. Let me get this over to Sam. I see Mikey's in here. That's dope. Mikey's going to be recording this so we can get it up on YouTube for those that aren't able to make it. Shihan, master of Discord. If you don't mind doing a nice ping whenever you can, that would be dope. Shihan said, I'm going. Okay, while we're waiting for Sam, will it be uploaded, edited, or just the VOD? It should just be the VOD. I mean, unless there needs to be stuff that's edited out, whatever. But I don't anticipate that.
Not to swear.
I don't anticipate that. Yes. Here, let me get so I can look at the camera rather than look at my laptop. Dope. Okay. Before we get started with AMA questions and run through some of the upcoming stuff, just want to quickly talk about a couple of announcements for the community. And by the way, thanks everybody for showing up. Oh, there's Sam. He's in the audience. Let's get Sam invite to speak. But okay, before we just dive into the AMA stuff, as I was saying, a couple of announcements. First announcement, the Sworn Hub stuff. Right now, there's a free 5,000 crown claim on there for folks that haven't completed that. Just go and literally log in, click a button, get 5,000 crowns. You can get some in-game cosmetics, which should be pretty fun. That ends, I think, today. So go and get that sooner rather than later. Second thing, want to make a big shout out to ICE for putting together the Blessing Codex. That's really sick. We definitely want to encourage that type of behavior here in the community. That's just super dope to see. And if you guys haven't checked it out, it's pinned in Sworn Chat on Discord. It's also available and will be pinned on the Sworn Hub in the forums. One of the things that we're adding to forums, which is going to be really cool here in the next couple weeks, you guys might have seen it, but there's likes available on forums. We're introducing a karma system in there. So basically, the more you contribute to the community, the higher the karma you have. That's going to show up in your user profile. It's going to be really cool. So that's awesome. Many of you guys may have noticed as well, we've been running some Steam Key giveaways on Twitter. So if you don't follow us there, make sure to go do that. Pretty easy, literally. Like today, we're doing one for Valentine's Day where we're giving away 2 Steam Keys, like one to somebody that comments on our post and then one to their tagged Valentine. So go have fun with that. But those, I think, are the major like hub level Steam stuff announcements that I wanted to go through. We posted a patch earlier. We'll run through that pretty quickly. And actually, so maybe that's probably the right starting point. I don't know, Sam. Can you hear us? Can you speak? Are you able to?
Yeah, I can hear and talk. I think there's something that's just preventing me from turning on my camera.
Oh no, you're good, dude.
I can't do that, but
Shihan. Anyway, okay. Do we want to quickly, before we dive into AMA stuff, maybe we can quickly talk about the patch that we pushed out today? Just give people a brief update on, what went out, and yeah, we'll go from there. I know there were some crashing stuff we really wanted to get ahead of. So yeah, any notes on that, Matt or Sam? Anything you guys want to talk about, call out specifically?
I think Matt knows better than me.
All right.
All right, let me pull those up and remind myself.
Sam, by the way, do you like the bucket hat that I got on, dude?
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
It's like a real bucket hat. It's like a real cool one, but since I have headphones on, it looks crazy.
Someone said SAS soccer. I'm wearing a. Oh, it's Logan.
Yeah, the big focus of this patch was the crashes in, especially Deep Harbor, but also some of the multiplayer crashes we've been seeing. There was a bug post, and I ended up talking a bunch of, someone asked me how it was happening, and I went into detail and I linked the API. If you really want to read that, you can find it in there. We've done our best to try and solve those, but it's not like a surefire thing. We're still working around it because it's sort of a problem with Unity's API and the system that we're using, that it really helps keep the game small and the load times low, but it comes with some drawbacks that we need to play nice with it. So if you see it happen again, keep posting the logs, because it tells us what the problem asset is that was trying to load, and then I can go find it, figure out why it loaded early, and then hopefully lock it down.
Yeah, main thing with the patch is some small balance stuff, and I think we got rid of 80 to 90% of the crash issues. But there's just small asset loading issues that unfortunately we just have to go through logs and figure out what the offending assets are. There's not a good programmatic way to handle this.
Yep.
So if you do have that happen, it would be a big help for us to share log information so that we can get the last ones cleaned up. But should be much more stable now in multiplayer.
Yep. All right. Cool. TLDR, balance, some small balance things, major focus on crashes, and a request. If you guys are still crashing, send us your logs so we can get all that stuff sorted. Anything else we want to talk about the patch, or can we go into maybe some launch stuff? Matt, Sam?
It's an AMA, so whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Dude. It's fine. I just wanted to give the floor for any more patch discussion. Okay. So I think it would be super cool for the community to hear a little bit about launch day. So we're literally a week away from our early access launch. This is more of a question for you, Sam, and then Matt, probably for you to piggyback off of. But like Sam, like walk the community through a little bit, like how you're feeling on launch day, like how the response was, and what you've kind of seen thus far.
I was incredibly nervous on launch day. We were excited for people to play, but also incredibly nervous because ultimately it is a multiplayer game. So just the propensity for issues to prevent people from playing was there. Luckily the frequency of those is not nearly as bad as we thought it would be, and we've been on top of helping to fix those problems. I think a lot of people ended up playing the game a lot more than we thought. Sometimes when you're making something, you sort of get like lost in the thing you're making, and it's hard to be objective about the way you judge things. I think that me and all the people on the development team have played far too much Sworn, so it's kind of hard for us to evaluate how good the product is in isolation, because when we're playing it, we're always comparing it to sort of the previous version of the game that we've played, and thinking about how to make it incrementally better. But for a lot of people in EA, it was their first time playing the game, so I was really excited to see people enjoy the hard work we've put in, especially with some of the early game experiences. So that was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, it was. Sam and I were together in Utah with two other folks from the team, Colin and Chris, and it's definitely like we were a little bit. We didn't actually know like what time the game was going to launch because our publisher is UK based, and they're just like, hey, like XYZ time GMT, and we're like, oh, that's like what 6 a.m. our time, 7 a.m. our time. So like the night before, we're like, oh shit, like we can actually sleep in because it was like 10 a.m. It was just kind of funny. And we had this big big TV screen just watching all the streamers and content creators playing. It was like pretty cool to see. Some of that stuff got posted on Twitter, which was I think kind of funny, but like literally the biggest TV I've ever seen. So any notes from you, Matt, on launch day? Anything you were feeling? Anything you want to talk about?
I said to Sam, it was either that day or the stand-up before that day that like my excitement and my nervousness had like canceled out like destructive waveforms in my mind. And I was like, it's just another Thursday, dude. Like business as usual. I got bug to fix and gameplay to review. But no, I was super happy with the response from everybody. I was really glad that people were enjoying playing the game, and that so many people were excited to play it. All the kind words from everybody. Like, it really feels good to like put out something that you've been working on for such a long time and have people respond so positively to it.
Okay, awesome. Let's dive into the AMA. We got a ton of questions. Shihan was kind enough to put all these things together. We're not going to be able to make it through all of them, so we've cherry picked some relevant ones. We've categorized these into a few different ways. We have like some general questions, we have some game questions, we have some roadmap questions. We'll talk about roadmap a little bit at the end of this. I think that should be exciting for you folks. But maybe the first question, right, was how is the game so polished this early on in its development? And I'm curious, Matt, Sam, I know we ran some really scaled playtests before. Like we ran a big one when we announced the game in March. We ran the big Next Fest campaign. We ran another playtest in September. But can you guys talk a little bit about like the polishing process? Because whenever I talk to Sam, he's like, yo, the game's like almost there. We just need to polish it more. So yeah, can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we had a ton of different playtests. We had roughly 200,000 people try the game between when we started development and when we launched the game into EA. So that was pretty helpful. I think those playtest moments and sort of forcing yourself to make it get to a local maxima in terms of polish before you show the thing to other people, sort of like the practice you would do the last day before like a talent show or some sort of public thing, and doing that over and over with like 4 or 5 different releases really helped to get it to a really high level. We obviously have a lot of really great members on the team that help do that. So there's a dozen people that work on Sworn. Myself and Matt are 2 of them, so we have 10 other people on the team that have helped to make it. So it is definitely a group effort. But I think just being passionate about the game and forcing yourself to put it out there and listen to the positive, but more so negative things that people have to say about it to focus you to sort of concentrate your efforts into certain spots. I don't know if you have anything else to say to that, Matt.
I'd say all of the above, but also I think it's so polished because you, Colin, and Richard have all been like advocating for us to like take the time we need and like get it into the state that we want it to get it in and not like rush it. I think that's been like super helpful for you guys sort of like working with us to help us like get our stuff together before we like put it out there, especially with the playtests and the demos. I think I've gotten a lot of extra time to work on stuff that I'm like, it's almost there, and sometimes it's hard to make that argument, but Sam is a big believer in everyone on the team, and it is really
I laugh
helpful
when
for
I
us.
hear this question because I literally only see the things that are wrong with our game. I like cannot see the good things. I mean, I know that they're there, but those aren't the things that I work on or pay too much attention to.
There are definitely lots
down.
of secret. Oh, sorry, Matt.
We'll sit down and we'll play together, and Sam will be like, "Wait a minute, this game's kind of fun." I'm like, "Did you forget? Like, we're actually like putting something good together here." Like, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like for the comment about like taking the requisite time to get the game out to market, right? Like, I think it's a very concerted effort that Sam really pushed internally, right? I work with Sam like mostly just on marketing stuff, and trying to bring Sworn to market in the best state that it can be. But there are lots of little stories we'll get into, or not today, but maybe we'll get into in the future around like the amount of stuff we've had to do in order to get Sworn to be released at the right time. I think like one of the big bets, right, that Sam came to the team with was like, hey, this game's really, really great. It needs more time in the oven. Like, early access is going to be the right thing for us. We were considering like a 1.0 launch like earlier, right? But I don't know. I think your point about like having a ton of belief in it, a lot of conviction, right? Convincing others to have a lot of conviction in it. Yeah, it's been like a crazy process, but it's definitely right. Like the game came out in the right state with the right consumer tag, right? Early access, because we have a lot of plans for it, at the right time, right? And that's a really, I think, difficult thing to like a difficult what is it, needle to like weave through or whatever, simply because like games as an industry, it's like a business, right? And you have funding considerations, you have all these other things that you need to think about, and yeah, it's just like getting that right is just, it's integral to success. The best games get it right, maybe get lucky doing it, but I think it's mostly just really good decision making. But anyway, one of the next questions was like kind of also related. It's not necessarily related to polish, but it is a little bit related to polish. So I think it's a good one. Sam, you mentioned when you play the game, there's like stuff that you see that you're like, hey, like we can really improve this, right? The question was, which aspect that you kind of have marked already complete or released, right, are you most itching to go back and rework, right, in EA or after EA, right? Is there like a thing that you're just like, yo, I know I can make this, a much better experience than it is today?
Yes. Sam
And that's a
and I talked
question for
about this
both of you
morning.
guys. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He asked me basically the same question and I said I think I want to work on paragons and weapons a little bit more. I think some of the weapon blessings need to be a little filled out. I think there's an imbalance between some weapons have more than others, and I think some of them are kind of stinkers that are just kind of there. I definitely think we could do more sort of like unification of the trees and get them feeling more cohesive and like you're building towards like a goal within each of them, as well as like making their intersections a little bit more, what's the word, clear, I guess. Grockable is normally what I'd say, but I don't know what that word means exactly. Sam and Ben say it a lot, and I sort of get it, but yeah, I think those are two things I'd really like to work on. We did talk about companions probably wanting to be better, but I'd like to take my hands off of those guys and let somebody else look at them for a bit. Other than that,
Yeah, I think the blessing trees could use a lot of work. Matt and I were talking this morning about building a way for us to visualize them better, so we can make sure that all of them have the same sort of like correct amount of attention to detail and feel like they are valid from a strategic standpoint to go. I think right now there's certain ones that we feel a lot better about than others. Frost is probably the one that we think we've done the best job on, and we get a lot of feedback, like a lot of positive feedback about the Frost tree. And I think there's a lot of sort of secondary effects and mechanics that we can add to the other trees to make them as exciting and then make it feel like more of a choice when you're building your character over the course of a run. That's definitely the thing I want to revisit the most. And I think that we're going to be able to do that over the course of patches. I don't think there's going to be a dedicated patch for that. We're going to be adding lots of new content every month to the game. But I think that we're going to sort of work to improve the foundation of the game every month as well. So there'll be new stuff, and then there'll be all the patch notes about the things that we've improved that sort of started out in the game.
Yeah, I think that's the point of EA, right? You know, it's like got to continue to improve the fundamentals and continue to add things to it. So it makes a lot of sense. Cool. Another question that was in this general category was specifically around lore and story in the game. I know, Sam, you talked a little bit about making some trade-offs, right? The actual reality of building games, you know, making a multiplayer game being a big enough challenge already. We certainly have really cool characters inside of Sworn, but the question was how will the team introduce more lore and story elements into the core gameplay loop, if at all? So yeah, curious what you guys think about that.
So overall, we definitely are trying to focus more on gameplay. I think that over time with updates, right now people draw a lot of parallels to Hades and sometimes Raven's Watch, or what's the other
Curse of the Dead Gods?
Curse of the Dead Gods.
Windblown?
No, Curse of the Dead Gods. I think that we're going to be adding substantially more content than these games have over the course of REA than what they've had. And I think we're going to start delivering on what we've sort of said the vision for the game is, which is, hey, we're going to make something that's like these other games, but it's going to be co-op and much more focused on builds and gameplay. I also think that there is a narrative that I don't think there is a narrative that's written down that exists that we have a story bible for. I think it'll be a lot easier for us to surface some more of that when we've completed the vision of the rest of the game. I think that sort of like the Arthur fight is sort of the beginning of the story with Sworn, and that's sort of where we thought we needed to be to go into EA. I think there's a lot of questions left over. The two sort of most important are, you know, who is the player character and why is Arthur evil in our world? So what's sort of gone on here? And I think we're gonna, once we've put in the content that is gonna sort of lead the player in those directions, we'll hopefully be able to add some storytelling into updates, surface it more clearly for other people to enjoy.
Damn, dude, what a good answer. Sick. Okay, last question from the general category. OST release when? People really love the music. Do we have any plans for an OST? Is that something that, because the response has been so positive, we may consider?
I have been pretty aggressive about not wanting to sell anything additional until the game is in 1.0. The OST is actually done technically. I have it in my Steam library. I think Matt maybe has it too.
I do not. I should. You should give me that.
Yeah, dude, I'd be bumping that right now.
Unironically.
I have just wanted to wait until 1.0 to try to sell anything other than the game.
Yeah.
That said, I'm not sure it'll have to. Anything involving pricing and different product SKUs, our publisher has a lot of say in, so I can't really give a answer other than it will be there eventually, and people will be able to listen to it. I don't know what the right time is because it's obviously going to be something that's sold. I don't know what the price point is for it. I think it should be like a couple dollars, but we'll see.
Okay, cool. Let's go into some game questions. There were some fairly specific ones. A couple of things that were like maybe from the roadmap that kind of fit into this category as well. But one of the ones that I thought was super interesting was like, how are we determining like which blessings show up? Like, is it weighted? Is it predetermined? Like, how does that actually work for players? Totally random? Like, how does that work?
Do you like me?
An algorithm, dude.
I mean, do you want the actual?
Do you want the actual answer?
There is a rule set that determines like blessing eligibility. So obviously, like you can only get like a MAB blessing if you're interacting with MAB. And then there's hard rules for when certain things will show up. Like you'll only get upgrades for a mechanic if you already have that mechanic. There is a sort of weighted system that we I think called Affinity internally, and then there's also some sort of strict randomness elements to it as well.
There are seeds. There are random seeds.
Yeah, I think saying 100% of it would maybe
take away the magic.
Some of the magic.
I got you.
There's definitely a few factors that come into play. There's certain blessings that we think are cooler that we try to show the player more than ones that we think are less cool, and I think we'll probably continue to do that until we feel equally as good about all the blessings in the game. I think that probably some of the forces that we have will lessen over time, and it'll approach like true randomness as we get closer to 1.0.
Okay. Cool. Another question here was about specifically melee feels worse than ranged. This is a user's opinion. Are there plans to buff this? Do we have an opinion on it? I see a lot of people playing ranged on stream. I'm curious if we have thoughts on that. Just a funny one.
Yeah, this is something we talk about a lot. There's a few solutions that we've thrown out with different levels of heavy-handedness. We're definitely going to do something about it. I think the game is way more fun to play using a melee weapon right now. I think it's like not even close. I think you can win more easily with a ranged weapon, but I think that there is something. It's sort of like beating a Souls-like game if you're a ranged or a mage class versus trying to beat it with a melee class. You can do a lot of things in a Souls game with a ranged class and not really feel a sense of accomplishment or like you mastered something. The game just lets you sort of push it around if you have a certain build. Whereas if you are playing some of the more like hardcore weapons in those types of games, sort of have to exhibit mastery, which is something I personally draw a lot of satisfaction from. But I don't, there's more than one way to enjoy a game, so I'm not going to tell anyone else how they need to enjoy my game. Our game. Matt, I don't know if you have any different thoughts on
no, we've talked a little bit about it. If I wanted to go into specifics, we talk about like the limiting mechanics, how like the cannon we added the overheat bar. We've got some designs in the works for some of the other ranged weapons. Like the bow, you needed to charge it up to get the perfect shot, and the heavy has a cooldown. I think we should display the cooldown a little bit better. And like these sorts of things of like these weapons are generally safer. There are other things we can do that are more systematic, but I generally agree with Sam that I think it comes. I think it does come down to a weapon to weapon basis, and I think like bringing the melee weapons up as well as maybe giving the ranged weapons a little bit more stuff to think about while doing, so they're not just so boring and safe all the time, will be helpful to making them both feel better and for melee feeling stronger.
Cool.
Yeah, what people risk reward is a little imbalanced.
Okay. I think the last question from the game stuff before we jump into some roadmap items is, have you considered co-op unique activations, i.e. player 1 holds alt button, creates a circle. If player 2 has ult charge and activates ultimate within the circle, they perform a tag team ultimate with unique effects. Like basically like team ults. Have we considered this? Is this a cool idea?
You have no idea how many times Ben tried to put that in the game. I feel like Sam is also we've tried a couple of iterations of things like that. I don't think there's a universe where it never happens, but yes, we have very much considered tag team ultimates.
Yeah, that's pretty sick, dude.
The further
it's
on
hard to get them to work.
The more like abstract and complex things we'll be able to do. For everything that goes into the game, there's at least twice as much stuff that doesn't go into the game. I have the project right here. I can actually count. For the number of enemies in the Kingswood, I think we have like 7 in the game, and we have 18 different enemies that we've prototyped for the Kingswood. So yeah, 2 to 3 times as much stuff is built as what gets into the game. And as we have more time to become confident about the things that are in the game, we'll be able to execute on sort of more complex mechanics on top of it. I think that this sort of goes back to the polish question, where if we tried to do all of the cool, more complicated ideas at the beginning, we probably would have sacrificed something with quality or length of the game. And we ended up where we ended up now, and things will get cooler from here. We're not going to make less cool stuff to add to the game.
Makes sense. Again, that's the point of early access, right? Okay, let's go into some roadmap stuff. There's a ton of questions about roadmap stuff. Our publisher said we could talk a little bit about this. So we'll talk a little bit about it. The first question here, and I can take this one, is when can we see a roadmap? The answer for when we can see a roadmap is we will be publishing a roadmap at some point next week for the community. We have a couple things that we can talk about today that will be included in that roadmap that are coming quite soon. But the current plan is that there's going to be a roadmap with like a little image. I don't think it's going to have exact dates attached to it, although we have the dates internally that we're working towards. But that's that's where we're at. Let me see if I said that correctly, so I don't get in trouble. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Okay, we're cool. We're gonna go through it. It should be early next week, so not just next week. Early next week, we should have a good roadmap in front of people, posted on Steam as official. Yo, what up? What up, Ben?
Hey y'all. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Ben's the lead designer in the game. He's here now.
Yeah, Ben, introduce yourself. We have a guest, dude.
Hi everybody. I'm Ben. I just joined to watch, and then I don't know which one of you invited me to speak, but I can just be here. Either way.
Shihan invited you, dude. It wasn't me. Don't blame me.
Thanks, Shi.
Okay, so yeah, no worries. We were just going through roadmap stuff. The first question around roadmap is when roadmap. The answer is we will have we will get that. It'll be published early next week. Let's talk about a couple of the things that we know are coming. One of the questions here was around, will there be leaderboards? Can we answer that today? The answer is we can. Sam, do you want to talk about leaderboards?
Yeah. So there's going to be leaderboards in the game, very much inspired by the leaderboards in Slice and Dice, which is a roguelike game that I hold close to my heart. So if you want a spoiler on what the leaderboards are going to look like, I would go look up that game. And a couple of things that we're going to put a leaderboard up for is completion time, but then also streaks. So it'll be how many times you can, win in a row with a certain party, with you and your 3 friends, for instance, on a certain difficulty. So you would only defeat, if you're playing on Duke, you would only be competing against the other people that on Duke, which I think will be super fun. Side note, the harder difficulties in the game are intended to be way harder than they actually are. So the game will probably get harder over the course of several updates.
I swear Sam doesn't want anybody to be able to beat the game unsolved.
That's crazy,
he'll watch
dude.
the streamer play on a higher difficulty and win. He's like, we gotta kill this.
I think Ben and I both got pretty frustrated with watch people able to win on the last 2 difficulties only after playing, like 20, 30 hours of the game. Really want sort of the last difficulties to be reserved for if people really, really understand the game and are good at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that having an extra difficulty always in front of you just, is a big thing that keeps people motivated. I think as soon as you beat a roguelike on the max difficulty, a lot of people kind of check out. And so there kind of always needs to be a horizon, even if that last difficulty is almost impossible. I think Hades Max Heat is a cool example because people didn't beat Max Heat Hades until 2-3 years after the game came out.
Very cool. Talking about updates, one of the other questions related to early access and roadmap is just how we plan on doing updates. I think, Sam, you're probably best equipped to answer this. The question specifically was more about, how quickly we're going to be doing updates. Obviously, the person wanted to know what's in every update and stuff like that, as per usual. But I think more so the ethos of the question is how do we approach updating the game in early access? And yeah, maybe you could talk through that. Obviously we're doing patches right now, but yeah,
we're targeting major updates on 4 to 8 week time horizons. I don't want to say the exact date, but you should be at some point in March. There's going to be a major update for the game. That's 4 to 8 weeks from now. The I sort of mentioned before that we want to be sort of really ambitious with the amount of content we're adding to the game in these updates. I think everyone on the game team has a pretty big vision for how large the game will be, and sort of the intention is that it would be a lot bigger than many of the other roguelikes that are out in the space that have a similar style. The way to think about it is sort of we launched into EA with similar content length. Obviously, we don't have the story that Hades has, but they sort of finished their EA with the fourth biome, their final boss, and that's sort of where we're starting. So we want to focus much more on the gameplay and make it so that the experience is a lot longer and has variety in it. So that's sort of what we're targeting and what our guiding light is going to be over the next series of updates.
So the idea is like major update over the course of, let's say, month or two, minor updates, patches, stuff like that in between, right?
That's the game plan.
That's the game plan. Okay, cool. And pursuant to the first major update, our publisher did say we were allowed to talk about what was coming. They said we couldn't say a date yet. Sam kind of leaked the date a little bit, said in March. But Sam, do you want to just talk about kind of like at least some of the major stuff that we know is going to be in the first big update for the game? And obviously, caveat this with, this is going to be, again, revealed, in more detail next week when we actually post the roadmap and stuff like that. But definitely there are a lot of questions about it, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek for it. So Sam, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So we mentioned that we're going to be doing some adjustments to the blessings and weapons that we're really excited about, and adding some additional features into the game to be able to control your builds better. There'll be some new systems there, and then there's also going to be a new biome. I will let people speculate what the new biome is and where it fits in the game. Prequel? Is it a sequel? Is it a different path biome? I don't know. You guys tell me. I actually do know, but I don't want to say here. I think that I am excited to have it be out there and people to experience getting to the new biome in the game for themselves. And that's something that we want to continue to provide over the long term. We think we have a really great opportunity to expand the game in a bunch of different dimensions. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, heard it here first. Major update number 1 is coming here shortly, some point in March. Biome number 5 will be in there. A couple of other roadmap questions from the community. Have we considered things like alternate bosses in the game? Is that something that maybe is on our roadmap, or it could add to more, variety in gameplay for folks? Matt, Ben, one of you guys want to take that one?
I think everyone's hesitant to say anything about this because we talk about it so much.
We have definitely considered it. It's one of those things where it's always a trade-off of doing that versus doing something with the equivalent time, and which will add more fun to the game. Bosses are one of the biggest content spikes of the game, and we really want to add more bosses, and it's always a decision of like, is that going to make the game better, or is adding a 5th biome going to make the game better, which is the actual decision we were making for this first update. And we ended up landing on 5th biome because we felt like it was just going to be more fun for people. But definitely agree, it'd be nice to get some more Knights of the Round Table in there, swap knights in and out. Yeah.
Matt, you want to add on to that at all? Or should we move to the next question? Anything else? No, you don't. Okay, cool. So we talked about, major update coming here soon with the fifth biome. one of the questions was around bosses. I thought this question was super interesting from the community. Sam might have talked about it a little bit earlier, but might just be cool to kind of rehash. What would you say are your quote unquote next big 3 goals with the game going forward? Like, what is the experience that we really want to be at 1.0 for folks? And it could be super high level, right? But I think, if maybe one of you guys could say, one of your goals during EA, where we want to be at when we actually get to 1.0.
Crack open my task board real quick.
Oh, man.
I think the main thing for us is what I mentioned at the beginning, which is we're starting out in a spot that a lot of games end for their content lifecycle, with sort of 4 biomes and a final boss that has 2 phases. That's the starting point for us. And there's a vision for Sworn that is much bigger than the typical action roguelikes. And us executing on that vision and being able to give that to people is what the goal is. So there's going to be a lot more that gets added from here. And I'm excited for people to begin recognizing that and saying, like, instead of saying this is similar to other games, but X, Y, or Z, saying, this is like that game, but, if someone had made like a full-fledged RPG that you can play like 100 hours of it, instead of it just being, you get through the first 4 biomes, you beat the final boss, and you're like, okay, I've seen it all.
Matt, Ben, goals for you guys?
I think sort of extending off of what Sam said, I'm really excited to just take the game in some new directions. Obviously, we get the Hades comparison a lot, and that's fair. I think that EA is giving us a lot of access to like push that further. Like, adding a 5th biome, like with, some sort of new access mechanic, or like adding like just new features on top of the game, I think allows it to sort of breathe its own like life a little bit, and do its own thing.
I am a little bit opposed in their direction because I think the biggest things on my plate right now that are in my mind are bug reports and feedback. You probably, some of you in chat probably know I look at those pretty frequently. And there's just like a lot of little things we can do to make the experience smoother. A lot of like really valid feedback points that I think we can sort of improve and iterate on. A lot of good like quality of life features that we can add. So I'm sort of more looking at what we have right now rather than like blue sky towards the future. But I think that's I think it's important to have a balance between those two things. But I'm also definitely like thinking about what's ahead based on the feedback that we're getting and like how can we better meet players' needs and players' expectations with new content, in addition to iterating on the content that we already have and keeping it at a level of polish that we're happy with.
Awesome, guys. I think maybe one final question around the map for today. So, we've been pretty public saying, hey, our plan is for 1.0 to have console release as well, right? I know we've already gone through the cert process and all that fun jazz. Sam, maybe, I know you've been probably closest to this, maybe I'm wrong, but could you talk a little bit about the process of like developing like a game for PC first and bringing it to console? Because I actually think people don't really appreciate what that actually takes. So I think it would be cool for you to share that. People were asking what consoles is it going to release on. Yeah, I think we've already been pretty public about that. PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, right? But Sam, I think it's cool to talk about the actual how the sausage might be getting made, right?
Sure. So we actually have had a lot of help from our publisher with the porting process. That said, I think the biggest changes that building for console will have on the development cycle are just extra constraints and deadlines and extra features. So interfaces, control modes, etc., all need to be tested for tons of different aspect ratios to work on stuff like Switch and the Steam Deck. Obviously, the specs of Switch are much lower, so there's been a considerable amount of work from our team on performance to make sure that the game will function on the Switch. And then obviously we've had to do some things with networking because we can't use the face punches transport because that doesn't actually work on Switch or PlayStation, I don't think. So we've had to make some big changes in development to be able to support that. But once everything's been taken care of, I think that the impact on development has actually been a little less than expected. That said, I haven't gone through since the early access release and tested the build on every console yet, so I don't want to speak too soon. But it is a lot of extra work, and definitely for a small team to support that. We definitely couldn't do it without our publisher. But I am really excited for people to be able to enjoy the game on different consoles. Get to 1.0. I just hope that we can sort of realize the full version for the game before we go into 1.0, and that people can have something really, really big to play.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, it's going to be cool for all three of you guys, right, to see, like, boot up the PlayStation or whatever, and then, like, see the game that you jamming playable on there, like on the Switch too. That's like pretty sick. Okay, I know there were a ton of questions, but I think we're wrapping up on time here. So maybe if there's any last thoughts from Matt, Ben, Sam, anything you guys want to share with the community. I know we're super grateful for everybody's support. But any last thoughts? And as a note for everybody, right, this is getting recorded for people that aren't able to make it here. So we'll get it posted here in short order. But any last notes for you guys? And we'll let everybody else enjoy their Valentine's Day. I think we have hopefully we have plans for that as a team.
I will say a lot of people are asking for very specific things in these Q&As, and I want to say that pretty much all of them at least have tickets in my to-do list, but where their priority is and whether or not they will get done is something that I do not have the time stone to see into the future about. I think there's a lot of stuff that, yes, these are things that we would like to do or things we plan on doing, but I can't say too much on the specifics or timing or yes or no. Like, yes, we'd like to do this. Yes, we'd like to do that. But whether or not we have the time to, if we're also planning on these major content updates, like how much time are we going to have to do that while also keeping the game as good as it possibly can be. Yeah, like I think there's a lot of really good suggestions in here that we'd like to do and things that are like kind of no-brainers to do. But yeah, I just want to sort of make that clear.
Yeah, Matt, a lot of the questions are like, have you considered like XYZ thing? It's just a lot of like really cool ideas, right?
Yeah. Or if we hadn't before, we are now.
Yeah. I tried to pare down the list, like, good topics that we could actually talk about. So anyway, Ben, any final words for folks before we jet off for Valentine's Day?
Yeah, mostly that I appreciate all the support. I read all the Steam reviews, and like Matt said, there's pretty much nothing that anyone brings up that isn't on our radar. It's always just this decision of what is going to make the most fun with the time that we have. I just appreciate everybody who's taken an interest in the game. It's been really cool to see.
And Sam?
Yeah, thanks to everyone for playing the game. for supporting us. Nothing helps us more than playing the game, your feedback, or encouraging your friends to play with you. I'm hoping that we get to add more new and explicitly co-op content for people to enjoy with their friends as time goes on. We're both fixing the bugs and addressing some of the immediate issues, but we're already hard at work on new content as well, even though the release just happened this time next week. So the team's definitely really excited for people to get pulled further and further into the Swarm universe, and I think that it'll be a cool process for everyone to go through together.
All right, guys, that's awesome. I think what's cool about this is like we can just post an announcement in Discord, share with our community, be pretty transparent about all the stuff that we've got cooking. And yeah, I think it means a lot for us to have people come to these, and so many people showing up makes us all also want to continue doing it, right? So as stuff continues to develop, we will probably run a few more of these. I'm not going to say we're going to do it monthly or whatever, but probably around updates it makes sense for us to do, and things like that. So anyway, thanks everybody for the time. TLDR, lots of really great information shared here. Video is going to get reposted. I'm not going to go through everything that was shared, but roadmap is going to be released early next week with a bunch of details. Sam leaked some Biome 5 stuff for big major update that's coming. And again, happy Valentine's Day to everybody, and hope everybody has a really wonderful weekend. So yeah, thanks guys for the time. Thanks Matt, Ben, Sam for jumping on. And oh yeah, someone's taking a screenshot of your whiteboard, Ben. Dude, all the ideas are good.
Oh yeah. As said, not for Sworn, but check out Punk Juice on Steam. It's good. It's not my game.
All right. Cool beans, guys. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks so much. And we'll catch you guys here in Discord later. See ya. Bye.
Bye, everybody.